Hey folks, Toestubber back. I've got a replay from Toestubber today, and I want to talk a little bit about the game. This is a face roll game. His team wins handily, and Toestubber actually does fairly well in this game. But I want to see if there's ways to maybe improve that. Now, we've got what I like to do is look at my teams, and I know that you've got an IS-3A and a T-32, so you've got a very good hull down tank in the T-32, and you've got an IS-3A which nobody wants to fight because he can put out 1,200 damage immediately and then continue to punish you, and if you allow him to sit back, now he can reload 3 shots and punish for another 1,200 damage. So it's an extremely strong tank, and because of that, anybody good I would expect not to go into the town. Now, they do have a Carnarvon and they have a T-34, but the problem with the T-34 is that it's got terrible DPM, right? The Carnarvon is actually opposite of that. It's got great DPM, but it doesn't have very high alpha damage, and it's very much a hull down tank. So both of the enemy tanks are hull down tanks versus the Russian tank. So I mean, I would just guess that you guys are going to win the city. Now, Toestubber is in a Lansen C, which has basically no armor. The turret has a little bit, but other than that, that's about all the armor you're going to get. It's actually quite a good tank. It holds a ton of ammo. I didn't realize, but it does 300 alpha damage, which is great for a medium. It's very mobile, and it's got pretty good gun handling for what it is, basically. So one of the things that I see is the setup, Toestubber, and I don't know what equipment you're running on this thing, but you're at like not even close to max view range. So that's one thing that I would consider changing is maxing out your view range and also your camo. A lot of people say camo is more important, and sometimes I would agree with that, but you probably should have both. I mean, it's a medium tank, but it's also a premium. So I would guess that you have a decent crew in it. So I'm not sure what your setup is. I mean, for me, if it'll take vert stabs, I'd do vert stabs, rammer, and optics on the thing, and then be working on your camo skills and then your view range skills. And the reason is, like on a map like this, it doesn't matter that much, but when you get into Malinowka, which is where this thing should shine, is the open maps. This should really shine in those open maps because it's very fast. So all of that said, I think I might try and support City in this. And actually, Toestubber, let's go ahead and get it started, decides to go out to the field, and he does very well in the field. But it's a face roll game, right? And when you get into face roll games, you want to be pushing with your friendlies that have armor that you can kind of hide behind, pull up, and get a shot, right? I mean, that's just my opinion. And then Toestubber is, of course, doing what I do and not paying attention. He's trying to look for shots, right? I had that in third person view. Sorry about that. Now, I want to show you something else. There's a bush right up here that you can sit in, and you can get the same shots that you get without getting lit. And that's very important. Now, you have to use third person because there's so many walls and things in the way. So you do have to use third person. So it's a little more difficult, but it's a lot more safe. So if you're in you're fighting Progetto 46s, which, let's go ahead and continue. You do a fairly good job of staying hull down if and when you can. So that's good. But at the same time, here we are, and I'm forgetting to go back into first person here. At the same time, as we go for a blind shot, unfortunately that misses. At the same time, it's much safer. right? Now, I'm not sure if you'd get that shot or not, to be honest with you. But there are many of these shots that you could get. And that's just an unfortunate shot on the T-34. So we don't know if you're lit. We just know that that nobody's shooting at you. And you can see that our prototype has gone up with our T-32 and our IS-38, and we've got a couple other guys kind of pushing the city. So that's a thing to keep an eye on. And you really have very little support here. I want to show you, look at all these guys. None of these guys can support you. Only these two and this light in the field could support you, right? So if the enemy decided to push, and they probably should because nothing hardly is lit in the city. We know the T-34 is on this side. We know there's a bunch of scary tank destroyers out there. And that's another reason not to get lit. I mean, that WZ-120 GFT or whatever it is has got a terrifying gun and good armor. And if he had not pushed hard, he could be up in here shooting at you as you get lit. Same thing, you got a Canonian Jagdpanzer, which I'm not too afraid of, but it does do 400 alpha, and this SU-130 PM is terrifying. That thing, I think it does 560 average or something. So there's a lot of tank destroyers. If they pushed, you would be dead right now. And they probably should, based on the fact that they don't have very much up here. And I'm sure all of these guys have been lit by now. So they know that they're going to lose the city. Good teams, when they lose somewhere, they push somewhere else. So you've got to be prepared for that. So best case scenario would be to go follow your team. Worst case scenario is to go hide up in this bush and then get shots of opportunity. But nevertheless, Toestubber does not do that, and it works out for him because his team, he's got 600 damage already, because the enemy team does not really take advantage of their overmatch. And here we are again, we're lit, and sitting right where he's sitting, probably not the best idea, although, artillery is not... there's no artillery, so there's nothing to focus him, which is kind of nice. And sitting in front of one of these progettos is never a good idea. It just isn't. And he gets a nice little bounce there, and he is holding these guys back. But when you get into higher level gameplay, you don't necessarily want to be facing guys, right? You would rather shoot them from the side or spot them from a bush where you're unspotted. Fortunately, this progetto is in a poor position, and you're able to take advantage of that, so that's good. And you punish that M4190, which is great. I mean, basically, he is... not making good trades there. So again, I think all this T-34 has to do is come around the corner and smack you, right? He could just come right around this corner, smack you, and there's nothing anybody can do because there's nobody in a position to shoot him back. Fortunately, instead of pushing you, look at all these guys that are over here. And they had an overmatch and they didn't take advantage. However, you're in the position you're in, and let's continue to see what you do. You've already got 1,600 damage, which is a pretty good game. And we take a kind of a hope shot instead of waiting for a better shot, right? These guys are in full panic mode. So you want to make your shots count, because that would have been, it's great to take the gun out, and I agree with that. But that would have been another 300 damage. You'd be up to 2,000 damage right now. So the game is over. I don't mind you using some of your health here. Fortunately, that T-34 has bigger problems than you. that snapshot, probably not worth it. There's only 2 tanks left. I understand the idea behind it because you're afraid you're not going to get any more damage. And you end up getting the last kill. So you end up with 2 kills in a total whitewash of the enemy team. So those are some things I would change. Let's reiterate. You need to read your teams a little bit better, maybe, and possibly push with your heavies, right? And support the side that's going to win. Because if you support the side that's going to win, you've got more guns. People are less likely to shoot you. You can hide behind your heavies, pull out, take shots of opportunity, and you're not face up with a bunch of enemies that are scary, you know, because you know the tank destroyers are going to be back in here, or at least they should be. In any normal game they would be, and they would punish you if you were out in the open like you were. Plus, in general, there's going to be arty, plus the fact that they had an overmatch and they should have pushed, and as soon as they saw everybody die in the city, they should have pushed you guys, and they didn't. So a lot of things went right, and in a lot of games, that happens. You know, you don't have to be in the optimal position to win games, because the enemy, especially on a 15-3 wipe, the enemy obviously is not skilled enough to realize what they really should be doing. But I'm just trying to help you for those games, and there are many of them, that you are in a non-optimal position. Even though you're getting damage, you're not in the optimal position to win the game. And you will get pushed by good players, and they will kill you, especially Progettos. You know, 3 shots, they can put in 720 damage to you, and there's really not much you can do. You know, you trade that for 300 damage. So that's my thoughts on the game. Let's go ahead and take a look at the after action report on this. Okay, here we're at the after action report, and third class for Toestubber. I appreciate you sending this in, Toestubber. It's always good to be able to try and help fellow players. We appreciate you having the courage to send it in and to ask questions on how you can improve. So 2,200 damage. He was top of the team. So 2 kills. And the IS-3A only did 1,300 damage, but he probably held that side down. And did he block anything? He blocked 1,000. So at any rate, 19 shots, 9 hits, 8 pins. Some of those were kind of hope shots, which is okay because you're playing safe, right? But some of them, I think you could have taken maybe better shots. 500 assists, so total of 2,800 combined, which is respectable. That's quite a good game. And 60,000 credits with a premium account. Now, I don't know what this 10,000 experience is, but he ended up with 12,000 experience. Talk about helping your crew out. Holy cow. So that was great. Again, we appreciate you sending it in. If you guys would like to watch me, I'm at Toestubber181, twitch.tv/Toestubber181, and we will catch you on the next one. Toestubber out.